I think any mechanical person will know that this is a pneumatic cylinder. The one types you see activating all these earth movers and any type of power equipment. In all these things, this part of it is well known. You have a fixed member and then you have a what you call movable or extension member, and then if you see very clearly here there are small rings here, and then there is something to feed the oil here, and then you have something here to feed the oil, and then we have a piston here which is moved up and down, and then you see this nice detail here. This is a spherical knuckle or the end of a tie rod. The spherical part of it, even if there to be a slight misalignment, the spherical part will rotate like this and ensure a small rotation. It is not like a full drive rod, but the small rotation helps it in align itself. And then even if you are to fix the inside thing very rigidly, it will sit properly. This inside part is nicely fixed to the thing here, and then there is a lubrication also. There is a small lubricating device here, a lubricating nipple which ensures that it gets lubricated. Things are getting complicated. That was a relatively simple thing. What could this be? This is part of a agricultural equipment. So you see here we have tires, you have the pneumatic, this is the pneumatic tires. Next to that we have the device which does the, I do not know, you would call it a hoe or I do not know, a reaper or this thing. There is something which collects all these details. This particular sketch is not a design sketch, it is taken from the user manual, and then there are numbers here, and then you can order this part. It is part of the repair manual. You can order all these parts, saying in case something is broken. So you have here a place where the filter is stored, where to take the parts from the filter. This is where the filter thing is there, saying it just shows the direction, saying this particular filter or something can be replaced by accessing here. But every small thing, no, you see 7 and 8 are generically they are a what you call a screw, and then they are either a washer or a spring washer. The same thing repeats everywhere like that, and somewhere at the bottom we will have a part count, saying in this particular subassembly you require 24 of these screws. Oh, as it gets, it seems to be getting better. There is a cabin, there is a cabin of a truck. It may be a, what you call a trailer, or it may be a master truck. And then all these elements here, now you see here there is a bolt here to bolt on this axis, what you call like wind, a device to deflect the wind and reduce the drag coefficient. And then you have this beautiful mirrors here, and then you have a step here, and then you see here they have steps, then you have various locks. Everything is clear, nobody needs to explain it to you. Oh, this is even getting better. You have seen this. I am not very clear what it could be, but it looks a little like again one more agricultural equipment by which somebody can sit here and they can do. This could be an attachment by which, no, the way it is shrouded and covered, possibly there are blades underneath this, something does the cutting. It could be a harvester, or it could be a de-weeder, or it could be just a lawn mower. And in the back we have a bin here, and then we have some other devices here. I do not know whether all this stuff gets transmitted and transported to the bin. It probably transported to the bin, because you see here I see a jib like thing, and then I see this thing is suspended from here, and then we have a railing here. Most likely this will rotate, and then you can keep it there and then try to dump the materials. It is a very, very interesting stacker. You can also call it a what do you call pallet trucker, pallet handler. The only difference is people may not be riding on it. In some of them, if you have something like this, it's probably people are riding on it, or otherwise you can stand somewhere else and then try to operate. You have these forks here. then you have an emergency button there, and then there is a way of increase and decrease. You see, this is a telescopic section. All this very easy for you if you can have your thing ready here. You have seen this? Now that is a real beautiful, a very generic full fledged forklift truck. Have a look at it. Very simple but effective. Probably the earliest, the way they said this is how we are going to assemble and this is how the components are going to be, which will make sure that this is probably where the iPod was born or the MP3 player. Saying now we have an option, this is a key, we are able to operate the key as you move it up and down or remove it left and right. Something here also moves, saying in which section of the file we are playing. This is where our mechanical and then usability and marketability, ergonomics and finally manufacturability come into place. In a very early stage you need to work out of it. After this you can now look for a technology which can satisfy all these conditions. I have shown this to you already. This is about the old Siemens keyboard, and then all these details how it is. This I had skipped showing you last time. After having decided all these things, somebody uses rigid polyurethane or rigid acrylic, that is polymethyacrylic methyacrylic foam to make all these objects to see how well they feel, how will they feel in their hand. You have a hand here, it is expected that things look naturally. It needs to nest nicely here, something nests here, you see here. Oh, I just carry it around and then yeah. I think some of you, if you are lucky, you will probably be able to read what it is. It says Samsung. I don't know what it comes for, but I use it for putting my hearing aids inside. Coming back to my slideshow here, next level is using these farmers, they have been able to make all these parts using by a process of thermoforming or electroforming. These days it is not used anymore. For small parts much easier to do things by rapid prototyping, also loosely called 3D printing. Rapid prototyping is the generic name. In 3D printing we have two, we have the liquid type or we have the fused filament deposit method, which I will cover in another slide. And then once the things are in place, it is possible for you, which I have shown you already, that the person who lays the PCB will know what it is, and then how these things are all stacked together, and then how these things are all manufactured, and we have, now we can take a decision. The magic is, it may or may not be real. In fact, this is transparent, we do not know whether it is real. So I will just give you a small this thing. I suggest all of you go look for this Honkyat basic guidelines to product sketching, and then we have several YouTube videos, you should watch them. It is a full fledged course, okay, and this course is done by the music is a little irritating, so I think we need not worry too much about it. Since it is a very long video, it takes around 15 minutes, I will just skip it to the important aspects where it is how the corners have been rounded off. We started with this thing, what you call a rectangle, and then it has all the elements of a vanishing point. We have a left hand vanishing point, we have a right hand vanishing point. So, and by rounding off all the corners and all that and adding the shading lines, you see all curves can be shown. So, I am not claiming a copyright or a patent on it. I suggest you must go and look for this Anton Ruckman's courses. This Anton Ruckman, if you subscribe to the channel, you have something which will keep you occupied, and then those of you who do not know sketching will tend to learn from it, and those you know sketching can improve on your things tremendously. So, I will take you a little towards the end. You see here it is getting slowly improved, and then towards the very end, if I take you, we have an object or a method of learning how to do. So, I suggest that you go and try these things here. So, I have given you these YouTube links, and then I have given you that name of that person, Anton Ruckman. Go to Anton Ruckman's YouTube channel. He run, they run it's a group of 5 people who run a beautiful design service, and then as just public service they have attached these things. Since it is a standard YouTube license and I am not, and is available free, you can, I acknowledge him by the way for all these things, and then try to see. Similarly, the same way, you have one more interesting thing saying this is honkyard.com. You can go to product sketching on I do not know how do you, probably honkyard.com, and then try to look at this beautiful way, basic guidelines to product sketching, an ability to represent your ideas by using methods such as sketching, open doors for better communication between designers, and in the case they keep on saying clients. In my case, I still feel, in our case, I still feel you need to what you call get a consensus of your ideas being implemented in within the organization. Otherwise, we would not have had so many products. We would not have had a touchscreen phone where it is no longer a resistive touchscreen, it is capacitive, and then it seems to work well. And then some part of it is risky. In my case, that this phone has, it has taken a beating, and then the so called very good glass has broken. I am still waiting for a small replacement to come. Same thing has happened to the front, but still I have a technologically superior, and I am not playing around anymore with the visual cues I need to make products like what I have shown here. But this is all because it has been communicated with the designers and internally. Find using sketching is a way to speed up the process of developing ideas in real life. So, you can see here this is part of a motorbike. Main guidelines, one is you need to love it, then you need this sort of equipment which will go with it, what are all the different things, and then we all know, in fact it is a small thing saying there are 50 shades of grey, but if you go to Pantone or if you buy any of these markers, you will see that there are hundreds of shades of a given color. So, you can go to any of this Pantone color thing, select a particular color. So, even if you look at my feature, you will notice that little bit of shining, you see here, it catches the highlights. I do not want it to catch. This is the one that makes my face look different, and then I have these beautiful shadows here. Can you see here? This shadow is the one that makes this stand out. Same thing it is, I have all my veins and all that, then I have all these things. All of it is, though you are seeing it on a 2D flat surface, the brain is able to integrate and tell you that about the texture, about how the highlights are. Another important thing is you need to get a sketchbook, buy, and then learn a little about perspective. In fact, when we talk about empathizing, when we talk about any other communication, they will say what is your perspective about it, saying how do you perceive things about it. Perspective is all about foreshortening. You have seen this, no? And then how to hold the pencil, which I explained to you yesterday, and then start with simple geometries. And then at this point probably I should show you that there are different type of sketches. We have simple explanatory sketches, process sketches. Main is about understanding and assignment, they are more writing than sketching. Focus is examining problems and analyzing the context. We are all familiar with it. They draw a lot of circles and then they give connections and then they try to analyze problems, saying this is what it is all about teaching, saying I am able to hold the attention of the students, and then saying what is it you are trying to convey. So, in my case, I hope you do not forget that I keep saying, even when you talk about a mechanical enclosure for a product, your concept of the design is very important, saying what goes where and then what is it you would like to do with the product, which are the inside, what is the outside and all that. At one level, in the case of a process sketch, we can say we have certain inputs, then we have certain outputs. Outputs can be again split into, they can be a simple visual display, or that can be an alarm, or that can be an electrical output. And similarly, we have a source of power, and then that power can be inherently built, solar cells and so on. Ideation sketches that are created by designers while developing an idea of a product. You see here, this ideation sketches. I will see if I can enlarge it and get it into the middle. Yeah. Sketches that are created by designers were developing an idea of a product, mainly roughly made and without details, which I think is very, very critical about it. Next, explanatory. Created to explain function, shape and structure of a design concept. If you remember, I will again get back to my old reading lamp. Remember this reading lamp? And then remember the picture associated with it. So, in the reading lamp, in this reading lamp we taught about something which concentrates the light, then we talked about something which is a stable base, and then we talked about a gooseneck. These are the things which come under explanatory sketches. These explanatory sketches to explain function, shape and structure of a design concept. Persuasive sketches, finishing sketches that are usually created in digital such as CAD programs, Adobe and others, detailed and colorful to influence audience and sell a design concept. I am happy that this has become up to date now. It is very much possible now to use some illustration software. If you are lucky, if you have an illustrator of some type, Adobe Illustrator or anything, can use it. If you have Photoshop, it is fine, otherwise CorelDRAW is there. Otherwise online you have several simple programs for people at the starting level, you can go and try to do. Only thing is very complex shadows, very complex textures and all cannot be mapped onto the surfaces easily, and you cannot do things which you would like to do in this thing at that time. No, maybe it is time for you to buy your own personal or a student license and just wait, do not get onto that immediately. Now, we will come back to the main this thing here, saying how are shadows created. You have seen this. You see this beautiful way it shows here. The moment you have a continuity here, it shows that it is a foldable thing. You have something which you can move in here, then we have something here, and then we have something which is it has a book form, saying can we make something out of a book. And in the case of these shadows, I think as I have explained to earlier, you see here we have a cylinder and the way say you see how it is going into this sharp, then this is shadow, and then we come to large number of details. How detailed can you make a sketch? While this is a general lecture meant for designers, I feel you who are sincere people who can go through all these things and see how best you can have it. A design concept sketch is supposed to show a visual appeal of a product to users. Basically mean detail often exaggerated to present best of the product character. Elements describe product itself, and that is why they must be enlarged in order to emphasize the details. So, you see here it is a car. You can only make out that it is a car probably by looking at the small what you call helmet, but you see the way the tires are made to look a little big, and then you see where the organic nature of the whole product is being conveyed. You cannot ignore these things. That is how, while right now it may it may not be ready for the market, a designer always thinks a little ahead of it. So, as we think ahead of it and make all these things, if not today, in a matter of course, what is showcased in a car or automobile show, depending on the experience people have and all that, it is a matter of time before it enters the market. So, the designing and sketching are always a little ahead of the. I will ask you to make a sketch, a 2.2 level sketch of it this time, saying coming back to my old previous exercise, I want you to go to the internet, find out the size of these two cells which are inside this. These are standard, there is a particular name for it also, 18650. In this case 18 seems to refer to the maximum diameter, 65 refers to the length of the or the height of this cylinder. Take the 18650 cells, you decide how many cells are required, and you see two ways. One of them is, see if you can make, since I have showed you and I was talking to you about a tabletop device like this, by which the base forms typically a battery bank like this. You understood? It should form a power bank like this, the base, and then you have an LED light here, and then see how best you can enhance this product. Very simple thing will be, can you put a clock to it? Putting a clock is no problem. This is where I would like to put a small thing. Now, since the back is open, is there something you can do with it, saying when you are lying down, can this clock display something on the ceiling, so that by you just when you just need to touch it on one side and suddenly I know that what the time is. This is, mind you, this is only something to trigger your imagination and put it in a sketch. So, in the end I need you to make a sketch which shows the concept of the bottom of the product, what you have and how it looks like this, and I have a projector which will try to project the time on top of it. Because if you look around, you will notice that even with mobiles, all sorts of, there is a lens available from the mobile, and then it can project whatever you want on it, including, in case you are watching that YouTube video which I have suggested, you can probably see it. So, this is going to be your second or third exercise, which I will actually formally write down and then try to upload it later, saying what I expect out of it. So, thank you for today's lecture. From tomorrow we will try to take on some other topic related to this. Thank you.